Okay, good Erev Shabbos, everyone, and we learn the Mishna Yomis for today, which is in the fourth parak of Meila, Mishna Dal and the Mishna Hay, sponsored as always by my dear friend Yisrael Fisher and family, the Nishmas Basi Bas Rabbi Shalom Ben Rama Levi, Pel Bas Ruvain, and Neshama Shadav and Aliyah. We're also sponsored Lila Nishmas Dov Ben Chaim, Lefu Shalema for Yomis Mechai Sor Yaakov Ben Bas Yalev for the Schus of Avram Ben Ben Mark Yudas and family. We're sponsored by Yo Klugman and family for the Parnas and Gzunt and Nachas. We're sponsored Lefu Shalema for Avigdor Ayim and Rivka in the Beschai Sora. Shmuel ben Yomin ben Shiraleya and Rivka ben Shiraleya and Moshe ben Esther Fadl. We're sponsored Lefu Shalema for Yitzchak ben Sion ben Dusha. Rachel Basara, Meir ben Chayesar, they should have a refuah shalema b'sek shachar Yisrael. So the Mishnah tells us, HaPigel v'anoiser ein mitzvah from zemzeh. Although Pigel and Noiser are both chorus, but they're two different shemos, and therefore a chatzik zayis of Pigel and a chatzik zayis of Noiser can't combine. Mibnei shein shnei shemus, they're two different names. HaSheretz v'anavela. Now remember, Sheretz and Nevela have two different shiurim. Sheretz is not tummy until it's the size of a ka'adasha, and a nevela is not tummy until it's the size of a kazayas. So the Mishnah tells us, Hasheretz v'anevela, v'chein ha'nevela u'b'sara meis, a nevela and the kazayas of a corpse, human corpse, they don't combine one with another, and we learned that in the previous Mishnah, because they have different sheretz and nevela have different shiurim, and nevela and kazayas of a mace are tummy for different amounts of time. A nevela is only tummy until the erev, and a kazayas of a mace is tummy shiva. But the Mishnah now tells us a chiddush that they're not combining afilu kakal shebishneim. It doesn't even contaminate to the more lenient. And the more lenient would be the smaller amount of a kazayas. So sheretz and nevela don't combine even for the smaller amount of a kazayas, and definitely not for the the opposite way. They don't combine even for the larger amount of a kazayas, right? That's more lenient. That's only metame if it's a kazayas. They don't combine even for a kazayas, and they surely don't combine for the more stringent share of the smaller share of a kadasha. A food that became tummy from an avatama, which becomes a rishon, vishenitma bavlad, and a food that became tummy with a rishon, that's a sheni. So now you have a rishon and a sheni. If you have a chatzi zayis of a rishon and a chatzi zayis of a sheni, mitzdarfen, they combine them, zelatame kekal shebishneim. So if a chatzi zayis of a rishon and a chatzi zayis of a sheni combine, then they could make something a shlishi. Of course, chulin won't become a shlishi, but truma will become a shlishi. Now, kala achalin mitzdarfen, all tamidika foods combine, lifsol es hagvia, to passel one who eats them from truma, bekachatzi pras. If you eat the shear of the tamidika foods to the amount of a quarter of a loaf of bread. And all foods combined b'mizayin shtei sudas to give you enough for 2 meals or erev, to make an eruv tchumen, to extend 2,000 amos in one direction. And all the foods combined b'kebeya, to the share of a beya l'tami tumas eichel, to contaminate and transmit tumah, food contamination. And all foods combined b'kagregoris, to give you the minimum amount of a dried fig to be chayiv v'loitzah Shabbos, for carrying outside from inside from outside, or 4 amos and rishus harabim on Shabbos. And all of them combined by kaisebes, for the share of a fatty date v'yom kippurim, to be chayiv yukaris for eating on Yom Kippur. Kol mashkin mitzdarfen, all liquids that are tummy combined, lifsoles hagvia, to passel the body from eating truma b'revius in the amount of a quarter of a lug, and all liquids combined b'maloi lugmav, to give you a full cheekful to be chayiv for drinking b'yom kippurim on Yom Kippur. We want to thank you for coming. If you would like to sponsor next week's final Haggadah Shir, 718-916-3100. Also, for your Seder preparations, know that I have on Torah Anytime on Kol Lashon on YouTube now 3 Haggadah Shirim, one called Starting the Haggadah, one called Haggadah 5768, Haggadah Gems, and one called Seder Gems 5768. So please enjoy. Thank you for joining us and have a wonderful Shabbos.